Professor, Mama name motor besides this one.
I'm going to be addressing the issues that are coming up. We are just responding to recent developments in the country. But I should start on behalf of the NCA to make the point that we are living in very difficult times with the third wave and the Delta variant. The NCA has been very, very clear about vaccination. You will know the media. If you go through the media, you'll get pictures of my first jab sometime at the beginning of April this year, and my second jab at the end of April this year. We called upon Zimbabweans to embrace vaccination. And we are doing it again now to encourage all our people to go get vaccinated because of the difficulties that we are facing. But I must also quickly say that the campaign and the encouragement for vaccination is not an opportunity for others to discriminate against those that are not yet vaccinated or to create stigmas against those that are not yet vaccinated. We are going to get there. Everyone is going to get there. But let's go together. And we are calling upon all of Zimbabweans to embrace vaccination. That's the first point that I wish to make as I do. And in fact, also congratulate the efforts by many, particularly the government, in trying to provide the vaccines that are available. I now want to turn to the purpose of this press conference. The purpose of this press conference is just to do two things. The first thing is to deal with the NCA political party and its views on POLAD. So it's an NCA position on POLAD. It's not a POLAD press conference. It is an NCA press conference to explain why the NCA, at this particular point as there is debate, believes that POLAD is an appropriate and useful forum. POLAD was created 2019, the beginning of 2019. The president invited political parties that fielded candidates in the 2018 presidential election. The NCA fielded a candidate in the 2018 presidential election. We accepted the invitation to join POLAD. We are part of POLAD. And we believe, and I must make it clear that as NCA, we believe that POLAD is a useful platform. It is an important platform for this country. It is a way forward for this country. That is the NCA position we are making. Why are we saying that? We are saying so because as NCA, we believe that when an election has been contested, there will always be one winner. It doesn't matter whether that winner is at a ward level as a councillor, or is a winner at a constituency level as a member of parliament, or is a winner as a senator, or a winner as president. There will always be a winner. Because there would have been competition, there will always be losers. Some losers will be very good losers, others will be very bad losers. But in every election, there are winners and losers. The NCA believes that for any country to progress, whoever wins an election must take office in terms of the constitution. That is the person who would exercise the functions of a councillor or the functions of an MP or the functions of president. But they must, that's our belief as in a party, they must work with their losers. Between an election and the next election, governance must be an affair of those that have won, who are running affairs of state, and working alongside those that have lost elections. And that belief is our belief. We believe that is the way to go. So there must be a POLAD in every ward. So if you win and you are a councillor, in your ward, you are the councillor who is in office. You go to the district or rural district council, or you go to the urban council. But within that ward, you must look out for those that lost elections competing with you. Try to work together. What do I do here? What are your views and so forth? If it is an MP, you have won as an MP, you go to parliament. You will be the one who will be in parliament. But when you get back to your constituency, look out for the losers, those you competed with. Find out how best to develop your constituency. And then if it is at a provincial level, we expect that those who are in the MPs in the province, they must look out for the politicians that lost as you go to the next. Similarly, at national level, if you become president, if I become president, I'll work with losers. If you become president, work with losers. That's the belief of the NCA, and that is the philosophy of POLAD. We are going to be marketing POLAD to be taken in every country in Southern Africa. So we'll be marketing POLAD. Every country. Botswana must have a POLAD. The president there must work with losers. Zambia must have a POLAD. They are having elections next week. The president there must work with losers. The whole of Africa. This is how Africa would develop. So as NCA, we fully support the philosophy of POLAD. We fully support the approach of POLAD. And we will be in POLAD. From now, whatever. If we become the government, we'll work with POLAD. Now, those who are detractors, those I call detractors, that want to be governing this country, if they happen to win, we will insist on POLAD. I think you are hearing me. If you become president and you are not me, you are not Mnangagwa, and you do not want a POLAD, we will force you to have a POLAD in this country. POLAD is not a Mnangagwa baby. It's a very important way of governing affairs of society. The NCA is clear on that. So I want Zimbabweans and other people and voters to know what this party believes in. This party believes in the fact that governance is an affair of those that have won elections and those that have lost elections. That is what governance, and that is what is called good governance. Governance is not about those that win and say, I am on my own and I want to do it on my own. We would not. This is why we embraced President Mnangagwa's invitation to get to POLAD. Now, POLAD has been doing a lot of things that I wish to make clear. Currently, as we sit here, POLAD will be coming up with a comprehensive draft bill on electoral reforms that seek to amend the Electoral Act. We had our last meeting in April, the POLAD principles. And at that last meeting we had in April, we actually had 3 civic organizations that came to POLAD. We had 2 full days with these civic organizations. I'll mention their names. The first one is the Zimbabwe Election Support Network, ZESNE. They brought a draft bill. And they will confirm that we went through their draft bill. We agreed with a number of their proposals. We have come up with our own proposal. The second organization that was at that meeting is the ERC, the Election Resource Center. It was with us. We discussed with them, and we went. The third organization is a very popular one, the Zimbabwe Lawyers for Human Rights. They were with us for 3 days. The Zimbabwe Lawyers for Human Rights brought the bill on Section 210 on how we can ensure that we actually adopted the bill brought to us by the Zimbabwe Lawyers for Human Rights. And POLAD has been engaging the Minister of Justice at the moment. The public will soon see the bills that will be coming through the POLAD process. Then they have been meeting. Some of you know that the economic summit that took place, which has so many ideas. POLAD must be credited for the various ideas that have been brought to government in terms of stabilization. We will get a particular POLAD platform that will discuss and outline the POLAD achievements. But let the debate continue. We have also did what I can call detoxification, the point I'm making. Just make sure that there is not always continuous political polarization. We are very disappointed as a party that there are so many Zimbabweans that still keep wanting to take the country back to a process where you are always, fighting each other, hating each other, hatred and so forth. We are disappointed by that, but we are moving forward. We believe at the end that is. So having said the issues to do with POLAD, and we believe in POLAD, I come to the issue relating to vehicles that were given out by POLAD. The vehicles that have been talked about, they are actually POLAD vehicles. That's point number one. POLAD vehicles are government vehicles. They are state vehicles. What we were given was a right to use these vehicles for POLAD purposes and for the work of our political parties. So we don't own personal vehicles. It was to be given a right. It's like a right to occupy a government building. If the government says, well, the NCA can come and occupy and use these buildings for your office space, that can happen. Or you come and occupy and so forth. This is not the first time that government is giving us access to this. These vehicles the only step that has been taken is that it's government property that we will have with us. But we have had access to government property. We have our meetings in government buildings. We have our meetings at State House. We go to meetings that are funded by the state, with the hotels that we go to, and so forth. But what was happening with the vehicles, I wish I could make the point, was that since February 2019, when the POLAD started, up to now, we were using our vehicles to go to POLAD meetings, and then we would get fuel coupons. So you'll only get fuel coupons, and so on. The meetings will be held in Bulawayo, they will be held in Mtare, they will be held all over. We'll be driving. And then the government would give us fuel. But what was missing there was that many of us we couldn't afford to continue to have, our vehicles are completely now broken down. If you go around to most of the political parties, because you're using your own vehicles. So they are broken down, the government does not give you funding for repairing your vehicles. So that debate was taking place until it became obvious that the best way forward for POLAD and what would be cheaper for the people of Zimbabwe, much cheaper for the people of Zimbabwe, is for the POLAD principals to use government vehicles. That's what we have. So you use a government vehicle. Instead of you using your own vehicle, you get fuel, your vehicle gets broken, you cannot replace it, but the POLAD meetings have to continue, and so on. So that was the basis upon which this. So the idea that within 3 years, those vehicles will belong to us, that is simply to do with government policy, government programs. It's not unique to POLAD. But at the moment, we do not own any vehicles. We're given access to use government vehicles for both POLAD and our own work, and we fully welcome that move, and we thank the government and we thank President Mnangagwa for that decision to allow POLAD to use. I must not mince my words on that point, that we fully embrace that it is useful for us. Now, I want to address the issue of, so are you then going to be using these government vehicles to build your parties? Use these government vehicles? The answer is yes. That we will use the government vehicles to build our parties. And that there is nothing wrong with that. And I have brought for the first time a copy of the Constitution of Zimbabwe, just to make the point which I want to read, and I want to encourage you to do so as well. So I'm not the first one to come to a press conference with a copy of the Constitution. So I'm going to do that, a copy of the Constitution. And I'm sure I'm going to follow them and also wave it and say that this is the Constitution of Zimbabwe. I'm going to read section 67, subsection 4 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe. So journalists, please take note. Section 67, subsection 4 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe. It says, for the purpose of promoting multi-party democracy, an act of parliament must provide for the funding of political parties. That's what our Constitution says. It says that in subsection 4. Subsection 4 closes all the subsections. It starts with a section that says every Zimbabwean citizen has a right to form, to join, and to participate in the activities of a political party or organization of their choice. Once you exercise that freedom, then the state must fund you. That's what our constitution says. The constitution starts by giving every citizen a right to join or form a party of their choice. Once they form the party of their choice, the next thing is that the state must make a mechanism to fund political parties. Now, the current act, which is in the process of being amended, provides one method of funding political parties. If you participate in an election and you get 5% of the votes, you get funding, which is what has been happening for a very long time here. But that is not the only way in which political parties will be funded under our constitution. And this is what I've been hearing people writing and so on, saying, no, you didn't get 5%. You don't have to have 5% to have the right to form or to join a political party. It's not us. It's not me. It's the people of Zimbabwe who said, look, each one of us has a right to form, to join, and to participate in the political activities of a party of your choice. Once you exercise that choice, there must be a mechanism. So POLAD is a government program in the sense that the president of the day, who was elected and installed as president, decided that he will work with losers. We are losers when it comes to the 2018 election. But we are saying that once you are a loser, that is not the end of the matter. You have an opportunity to work with the winner. I hope I make it clear. That's the NCA philosophy. You are a loser. If you get an opportunity to work with the winner, we will embrace it. We embraced it. Once you work with the winner, it's a government program. And that government program must be funded. POLAD satisfies section 67, subsection 4 of the Constitution. It's to promote a multi-party democracy. I want to finally say to all of you and to Zimbabweans, it is deliberate for our Constitution to use the word multi. It says multi-party. I think that's what you hear. The other word is one party. The other one is bi-party. And then there is multi-party. Multi-party, multi means more than two. So you'll see that our constitution wants us to have more than two political parties. The NCA does not want a situation which we have seen before, where people say that you are either there and then, so that these parties that were there, the dominant political parties, they were winning by default. If you don't want this one, you vote that one. If you don't want this one, you vote that one. That can't be a democracy, etc. So just I wanted to explain the point that we believe in POLAD, and that POLAD is a good thing for the country. We must all promote POLAD thinking. Winners must work with losers. That's the point we are making. And this is going to be permanent. We are going to work to make sure that it becomes permanent in the country. That's our philosophy. If I may address some criticisms that have come personally to me and personally to the NCA. Some people have said, which is part of what we want to do, they have said that you are selling out. I think that has been said. You are selling out in receiving a vehicle. One was saying that you are selling out because you are receiving a vehicle from Mnangagwa. I think that we made that very clear, that Mnangagwa did not hand any vehicle. He doesn't own any vehicle. The vehicles that we have and the vehicles we are using are government vehicles. They are state vehicles. And that we believe that the majority of Zimbabweans support that initiative. Unless anyone carries out a referendum that says that the majority of Zimbabweans say that POLAD people must not use government vehicles, then we will listen. But we were not going to be listening to an idea which is simply the opposite. We believe that we are entitled to use these vehicles. We would actually be campaigning for more vehicles for our party. And because with one vehicle, surely it is not enough, because it will be used by the president. I'm the one who will be driving the vehicle, and so but we would expect not a minimum of 3 vehicles. And so that's the only way we can push through the agenda of ensuring that our party is known everywhere. Now, with that vehicle that I have, which I'm using for the NCA, it's parked outside. You will see that those who wanted and what. My next trip is to Gogwe. I'm going to Gogwe in the next 3 days, a place that I have not been able to visit for the past 3 years. But I have people in Gogwe who actually want me, who actually support the NCA. I have never interacted with them. I'll go to places. I can give you a list of the places where I know there are people that say, look, we want Love More Madhuku here. But the reason why Love More Madhuku could not get their votes in 2018 was because Love More Madhuku never accessed them. And even here, I don't think I'll get 0 among you. So I have thousands of people out there. I can assure you here that if there is any vehicle that is going to be broken first, it's likely to be mine. Which is why I understand there was a lot of attack as if I was the only recipient. I accept that you focused, the people focused on me. But they will know that I'm going to be using that vehicle. Sooner or later, you will hear people in Mtoko telling you that we saw Madhuku with his POLAD vehicle. You will hear people in some corner of the country, in Rwanda, telling you that they saw Love More Madhuku with a POLAD. I'm going to use that vehicle to build the NCA. I am entitled to use that vehicle to build the NCA and to market POLAD. Now, imagine me going in every corner of the country saying, look, winners must work with losers. That's our philosophy. And that is why those vehicles are there. POLAD wants to spread the message that for Zimbabwe to progress, winners must work with losers. And we need vehicles for that purpose. There was an Afrobarometer survey, which without the vehicles, we were able to get 20-something% of people saying they support POLAD. With the vehicles, 77% of the people in the next survey will be telling you that they support POLAD. That's the reason for the vehicles. So I think for us to make it clear to you why these vehicles are there. They are helpful for the country. This country must move to that particular stage. So I cannot be said to have sold out. And if I may just to wind up, say this. People who say that Love More Madhuku is sold out, I think they were saying it some 5-6 years ago. First, when in 2013, I decided with the NCA that we were going to campaign for a no vote to the Constitution, I was told that I had sold out. Because those people who were saying I sold out at that time were telling people that this is the best Constitution ever. This one. I don't believe that. Although I was able to pick clauses there, and from time to time I pick good clauses for my clients from this Constitution. But they said I sold out because I campaigned for no vote, and I campaigned for a no vote. 5.5% of Zimbabweans followed us and voted no. Then the next time we formed the NCA into a political party because we were opposed to our colleagues that we thought they'd definitely sold out. Once in forming an NCA, you have sold out. And so I keep selling out. But somehow they forget. When something happens, they forget that I had sold out already. Then they say, he has sold out. When I became a member of the Montlante Commission, 7 members in that commission, we went to do some very good work. We made recommendations which people still want to say that they must be implemented. But in joining the commission, Madhuku had sold out. Every step I sell out. And somehow I continue to sell out. Now please, let me tell these people, I have taken the vehicle. I am going to campaign for more vehicles for the NCA. If I have sold out now, I have sold out now. Ngatingo disagree on that platform. And that I'm going to be campaigning for this philosophy. Winners must work with losers. For Africa to develop, winners must work with losers. And Africa will coin its own democracy. The Western world, which has an entrenched democracy, they had other methods there. And you know that winners and losers in the West They work along very well. President Trump left office. He's somewhat enjoying himself in some place in the United States. You know that. And that he's preparing to come back. That's what we're reading. But there's no animosity that kills that country. But in this country, we have people that believe that they must bring down. So this is why we are in POLAD, and I think I've made my point clear, and that the NCA is in POLAD for the reason that winners must work with losers, and that as NCA, we are going to be spreading that philosophy at the ward level, at the constituents level, at the provincial level, and at the national level. You know, if you are a winner somewhere in any of those spaces, look for your losers and work with them to build your ward. If you are a winner somewhere, look for your losers and work with them. Even when you have a church and there are elections in a church and you win as a bishop, work with your losers. If you are the chairperson of Dynamos, where I'm sure there are also elections there, I know. If you win, work with your losers to build your club. And that, what is wrong with that, surely, Zimbabweans? What is wrong with that, the world? But then, of course, there is some support that is required, and that support comes with vehicles. And I should make clear, as I've said, we want more as NCA, more vehicles. And this one, because it's just for the president, we want more vehicles. And that is good because of Section 67, subsection 4 of the Constitution. I think I'm done, unless there's something that, I have talked about POLAD reforms. I've talked about the fact that POLAD is going to be a good thing. We will be decided, and I think I've seen the questions. I also know, let me complete that point. When the elections come in 2023, a voter is entitled to say, this is Love Mo Madhuku. He was in POLAD. I didn't like POLAD. I'm not going to vote for him. They're entitled to do that. But I know that there are voters, and there are voters who are going to say, this is Love Mo Madhuku. He was in POLAD. He preached the gospel of winners working with losers. He was working with Mnangagwa for the 4 years and as a loser, Mnangagwa as a winner. But ultimately, the winner is one who decides the way at the way forward. They will also vote for me. And that's democracy. If some people want to gain votes because they are not in POLAD, I saw Hopewell Chingono campaigning for Chamisa. And that's what he does on his Twitter pages and so forth. He is entitled to campaign for Chamisa. I'm sure he is also entitled to criticize us. But we know that the game is just politics. It's not that he has more love for Zimbabwe. And we've no way. No, he was the first one to want to be seen. And it must be very clear. And I say my message to Hopewell. I am Love Mo Madhuku. I lead the NCA. I love Zimbabwe. And I believe that POLAD is right. You don't believe that POLAD is right. Campaign for your candidates. And that is correct. But no Zimbabwean must hide behind a social media platform to be more Zimbabwean than others, to be more loving the country than others. We have also gone through a long way, and I believe people who say, Madhuku did this, he did very well, but now I'm still the same Love Mo Madhuku who was left for dead on several occasions. The same Love Mo Madhuku of 11 March 2007. The same Love Mo Madhuku who worked hard for this country somewhat to have sensitivity that they needed a new constitution. And that is the same Love Mo Madhuku who is saying that POLAD is a good platform and that winners must work with losers. And in doing so, I love my country. And I think I should also I'm entitled to react as I close emotionally and say that those who think that they love this country more than me, I think they must respect me. I also love this country, and I have different views. That's why I've picked on Hopewell, because I am prepared to engage with him further, even if it goes on whatever the outcome of that. I am prepared to engage with Hopewell and say that you do not love this country more than me.Tingatofanana, but don't tell the world that this one is treacherous and so forth. I mean, who will have the monopoly to pick on individual Zimbabweans and say, these are sellouts, you are not a sellout, we sell out. That's not the kind of country that we want. We want to build a politics. We are all part of this country. And I'm going to have that we popularized a people-driven constitution. we are going to be popularizing winners must work with losers. Thank you very much.
Professor, Mamma in the motor besides this one.
Okay, they got to move in the one. That's the one we're going to move.
Está